evening. I'm happy to come live again today, another Tuesday. This is our week 18 of the reading of the book, Qigong meditation, embryonic breathing. I hope you enjoyed the session we had last Saturday, talking about the importance of physical exercise to the alleviation of stress and anxiety. Thank you to every one of you that joined us. So today we are beginning the chapter 2 of the reading of the book, and let's get straight to business. Keep breathing, keep being alive, breathe into your abdomen. Now let's go. All right. The Tao, which is nature, exists quietly and alone and does not change its original virtue. This is a little bit of theoretical foundations of embryonic breathing as it is written here by Dr. Yang in the chapter 2 of the book. So nature seems to be quiet but always present, and the energy emanating from the universe is always around us, even though it seems subtle and sublime. All right. So this quietness and a loneliness of the nature does not mean that it is not present. All right. So it is there. It does not change its original virtue, even though several things have come up by human activities trying to cause a disbalance in nature. Nature still finds a way to balance out itself. When the Tao, nature, made the Wuji, which is no extremity, no discrimination, it derived into yin and yang. And this pattern of the yin and yang is that of opposing forces or aspects, otherwise referred to as polarities. And this came into existence and the natural cycles formalized. That is why if you look all around us, you find patterns, you find cycles, okay, cycles and patterns all around us. You have the night, you have the day, you have the 8 days of the week, you have the days of the month, you have the number of months, you have the number of weeks in a year, okay, you have the leap year occurring every 4 times, okay, consecutively in succession, and you have different patterns. You have the morning, you have the noon, you have the night, you have the seasons. Okay, these are established. The natural cycles are formalized. All right. This derivation from Wuji into Yin and Yang is the origin of millions of things, and therefore is the mother of lives. Okay, so nature is a master chef. It knows the amount of ingredients to put according to its own recipe. You cannot force it, you cannot jump it, so you cannot go against it. Sometimes we try to force things, we try to be pushy, we try to attract things, and sometimes even before their time. But then all things happen in their beautiful time. There are people who try to bend time, yes, but for him who waits, all things will fall in place in its beautiful time. Okay, many backgrounds are there. There are kind of readings of quotations from Taoist experts trying to establish or give clarity to the formation and the existence of the universe. But I would like to skip several of those and move on to when the Wuji state parted into the two yin and yang theory, okay, and then gave him the Wuji led to Tai Chi, and Tai Chi gave birth to the two polarities of yin and yang. Where I'm going, which is of interest in this chapter, is to show us the need for balance and harmony in our lives. As humans also, we need to seek balance with nature. We have electromotive force, as I've said, according to chapter 1, I've explained before, and then the earth also has its own electromagnetic force. Our ability to align with these forces and be one with nature is essential for our well-being, for our vitality, and for longevity. So when the yin and yang theory is applied to Qigong, the first important goal of Qigong practice is the harmony and balance of yin and yang. This is referred to in Chinese as yin yang xie tiao. Okay, so in order for us to reach this harmonious stage of balance, we must know the method of adjusting yin and yang, namely the methods and theory of Kan, which is water, and Li, which is fire. For those of you who have been following on throughout the chapter 1, we have described what Kan is and what Li is. Okay, so the theory of Kan and Li are those methods we embrace and then guides us as a vehicle to lead us to the state of yin and yang. Therefore, we should comprehend the meaning of yin and yang and kan and li thoroughly, and this has have been discussed in chapter 1. When these yin yang kan li theories are applied to human health, the physical body is considered as yang, while the mental and spiritual bodies are considered as yin. In order to have a healthy and long life, we must not only be concerned with our physical health, but also with our spiritual condition. Mental and spiritual condition are the foundation of life. Though they cannot be seen, they are the origins and the causes of the physical manifestation. That's why we say nothing appears or manifests physically without first being settled in the spiritual realm. So when this foundation is firm and strong, the manifestation of life can also be strong. As it is above, so it is below. And the prayer of our Lord Jesus Christ say, let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So our spiritual health and the state of mind also directs the physical state of our well-being. So, therefore, the methods of reaching health and longevity is the cultivation of both mental body and physical body. So we call this practice and several related others as body-mind practices. We are spirits, we have souls, we dwell in the body, but we can lead our body, our minds can lead our body to make our body go back to influence our mind on the way to achieving spiritual enlightenment. Okay, so that is the purpose. Damola, thank you for joining all the way from Nigeria back home. Oh, all right. So, um, these methods of reaching health and longevity is the cultivation of both mental body and physical body. This is called dual cultivation of the human nature and life. It allows us to find appreciation for the purpose of life. Okay, here, human nature, otherwise referred to as temperament, means the internal nature or the original human sense and spirit, which is the mental mind, which has been carried with us since we were born. Life here means the physical life, which is limited. The physical life is limited, whereas the spiritual life is eternal. So, the good book, the Bible said we should pay more attention to what lasts, the eternal, much more than the physical, which has a short period of um, expanse. All right. So when we know how to adjust ourselves into a harmonious state of both internal and external, this is called balance of the body and mind. Like what the trainer that discussed with us last Saturday, Miss Jacqueline Nieto, said was that several people appear well physically, they appear strong, muscular, they appear balanced, they have good gait, they have good posture, okay, they look fresh outwardly, but internally they are emotionally unbalanced, they are emotionally disturbed. Emotional health is not something that everyone has, but which everyone can attain. So, and much more, biblically, we are told that it is better to take care of the inside than just whitewashing the outside, whereas the inside is full of bones and diseases, okay, of rot. When we clean a vessel to drink, the inside must be clean as much as the outside. So we cannot just keep the outside clean and decorated while the inside is dirty. Okay, so we should pay attention to gain balance and harmony between our body and our mind. Once we gain this balance, we'll be able to live long, and this allows us to have a longer time for spiritual cultivation. Okay, if one dies, how can you progress on your spiritual journey? You want to go to the temple, you want to go to church, your body has to go. Even when your mind decides to go for worship service, then your body has to be present. But once we die, there is no more gathering to worship. There is no more gathering to fellowship with the brethren or with other people of our faith. So if we are able to live long, then we have more time to cultivate our spiritual enlightenment. So this spiritual cultivation is considered the way or the means of reaching enlightenment, which is the final goal or the true meaning of human life. So the question is always there, and has always been there. Why am I here? What am I created for? What is my purpose? Because Rick Warren wrote about the purpose driven life. If you do not find the purpose, abuse is inevitable. We keep jumping from one thing to the other to the other. No harmony, no connection, no synchrony. Okay? But for us to find fulfillment, to find meaning for our lives, we have to make sure we cultivate our spiritual life. Today, it is very fortunate for us that we have developed our material science to a level in the last centuries which allows us to explain and verify many inexplicable happenings in the past. Nevertheless, many mysteries and unknowns remain, and we are still waiting for further understanding from the scientific point of view. Science has done a lot, science has achieved a lot. There have been many novel things discovered, many breakthroughs scientifically, but we still need to pay attention to spiritual backgrounds. So, we are in the most exciting and challenging era in which the ancient mysterious experience can finally be resolved by today's science. So many of the benefits of these practices have been proved and shown and corroborated by scientific researches, measuring the EMF, measuring the pulse, measuring the key field, measuring the aura, and then they see that these things are true. Sometimes, though, they are not quite explicable as much as we may wish to. So, the theories that we are talking about here are just like a map of a city which is able to direct whoever desires to learn, direct him to the correct path, and then be able to reach the final goal. So, practice is the action of transportation which allows us to reach the target. If you don't practice, then you cannot achieve or attain that state. So they say, we what do you practice? That it becomes a lifestyle. Okay? If you do not practice it, you say you're a Christian, for example, are you a practicing Christian? Questions like that may come up. From this point, we can see that a correct theory is a crucial key to reaching our goal. Because if the theory is wrong, all of the actions can be in vain. There are many documents that have been passed down, and there are people who can attest to the correctness of these documents. We have documents of eternal truth, but most of these things we have abandoned. We just confess them, we don't practice them. So we talk about love, we talk about compassion, we talk about empathy, but how much of these things do we put into practice? How much of these things do we display? Rather, we want to say, I don't want to be cheated. I don't want someone to take me for a fool. And then we keep defining the I, me, and myself. We put ego before us. And all these things we are talking about are just positive vibrations, eternal truths that remain in the book. We only pick on them when we think we wish to practice them. But we should go beyond that. Okay. Now let's see the human Qigong science, and quickly we see a modern definition of Qi and Qigong itself. In ancient China, people had very little knowledge of electricity. They only knew from acupuncture that when a needle was inserted into acupuncture cavities, some kind of energy other than heat was produced that often caused a shock or a tingling sensation. It was not until the last few decades, when the Chinese people were more acquainted with electromagnetic science, that they began to recognize that this energy circulating in the body, which they called Qi, Qi, might be the same thing as what today's science calls bioelectricity. Have you ever had a wound and then you feel some pulsation around the wound area, the edges? That is bioelectricity, because bioelectricity enhances wound closure, enhances wound healing. Have you ever had a full bladder only thanks to continence that you are able to hold it till you are able to approach a toilet to ease yourself? Do you feel the pulsations within your abdomen? Do you see the energy that carries? Do you see the heat and warmth released from the urine when you finally let it out? These are just telling us that we carry bioelectricity within us. The heart beats, pumps blood through our our arteries. Okay, so the beating of the heart, these are rhythms, these are pulsations moving around our body. The brain also discharges waves. So the total electromagnetic force of the body manifests because we have bioelectricity carried within us. It is understood now that the human body is constructed of many different electrically conductive materials, and that it forms a living electromagnetic field and circuit. The Earth's electromagnetic field was also measured by NASA. The tree has its own electromagnetic field. Every atom can vibrate around its station. Okay, so we carry elements, atoms all around us. Within us and around us, there are a lot of these. So they vibrate. So this vibration, if it is harmonized, if we are in line and attuned to the natural vibrations of the earth, and then it will be better for us. If we can harness them to our benefit. Okay, so the electromagnetic energy is continuously being generated in the human body through the biochemical reaction in food and air assimilation and circulated by the electromotive forces generated within the body. In addition, we are constantly being affected by external electromagnetic fields, such as that of the earth or the electrical fields generated by clouds. When we practice Qigong, we need to be aware of these outside factors and take them into account. Several times I have tried to show us an illustration of how we may sense this bioelectric field. So let's do one once again. Throw your palms out, keep your palms in front of you. Keep your fingers closed or a little bit open, not too wide. And then relax your shoulders, free your hands, and then pay attention to the space between your palms. Form a ball. It's going to be a ball of Qi. Envisage, visualize, pay attention as you breathe. When you breathe out, it seems there is a pulse that tries to expand. And when you breathe in, you seem to feel a pulse that tries to contract. If you pay attention to it, you may need to focus and concentrate. You may want to close your eyes and know, but just play around the ball. Just play around it. Pay attention to it. Expand it a little, close it a little. With time, you may be able to sense that there is a pulsation in between your palms in that space. All you need is place attention to that space. Okay? If you feel that, it tells you that we are a bunch of bioelectricity. So close it, relax your hands. This electromotive force can be useful for self-therapy. Okay? To massage your face, take care of anywhere you think you have pain. Okay? Either by touch therapy or keeping a few centimeters without really touching. Move it around your body. Even when you do not feel it, you feel a disconnection. It is still there. Alright. Countless experiments have been conducted in Japan, in China, and other countries, also in America, to show how external magnetic and electrical fields can affect and adjust the body's Qi field. That's why we call about electrical smog, things that come from our electrical appliances, the telephone, the television, the microwave, even the Wi-Fi from our phones. All these fields interact, and sometimes they affect our Qi. They usually affect our Qi field. Many acupuncturists use magnets and electricity in their treatments. They attach a magnet to the skin over a cavity and leave it there for a period of time. The magnetic field gradually affects the Qi circulation in that channel. Alternatively, they insert needles into cavities and then run an electric current through the needle to reach the Qi channels directly. Although many researchers have claimed a degree of success in their experiments, none has been able to publish any detailed and convincing proof of the results or a good explanation of the theory behind the experiments, but a few are coming up nowadays. If you look through journals of alternative complementary um, medicine, you can find this, and there are journals that are dedicated to Qi research. Okay, so you can find updates, you can find new updates, new breakthroughs, or recent advances, and then you can use that to corroborate that indeed there are Qi channels that help and benefit us, to explain the theory behind what we sense. As with many other attempts to explain the how and why of acupuncture, conclusive proof may still remain elusive, but there are dedicated journals to acupuncture, acupressure, and similar things like that nowadays. Of course, this theory is not new, but quite new in some uh, places. It will probably take a lot more study and research so that it can be verified and completely understood. And that is why up to now nobody seems to be able to say this is key, but they can tell you the effects and say when it manifests as this, then it is key. They may not be able to measure key directly, but they see that maybe key can increase endorphins and reduce cortisol. So these effects can be directly linked to a cause. Like when you do Qigong exercises and then you realize that these are the attending benefits when you make measurements, biochemical or metabolic measurements. Alright, so towards untying this knot, we try to look at what modern Western science has discovered about bioelectromagnetic energy. Many reports on bioelectricity have been published, and frequently the results are closely related to what is experienced in Chinese Qigong training and medical science. For example, during the electrophysiological research of the 1960s, several investigators discovered that bones are piezoelectric. What do we mean by that? When you apply mechanical pressure or force to the body, and then it generates electrical signals or responses. That is piezoelectric. This is a natural thing. We walk. When we walk, we press on certain bones. When we lift weights, we press on certain points of our body. When we uh, when we move our spine, okay, we press on certain points and these generate responses, electrical responses. The spine elongates, the spine contracts, okay, and all this accumulates to contribute to the total body electromotive force, okay. Piezoelectric, that is when they are stressed, mechanical energy is converted to electrical energy in the form of electric current. This might explain one of the practices of marrow washing Qigong, in which the stress on the bones and muscles is increased in certain ways in order to increase the Qi circulation. And this really benefits our immune system. Dr. Robert O. Baker has done important work in this field. His book, The Body Electric, reports on much of the research concerning the body's electric field. It is presently believed that food and air are the fuels which generate the electricity in the body through biochemical reaction. This electricity, which is circulated throughout the entire body by means of electrically conductive tissue, is one of the main energy sources which keep the cells of the physical body alive. If you visit our website also, the World Tai Chi and Qigong Day, WTC World Tai Chi, WTCQD.com, you will find a lot of journalistic evidences published there to support the practice of Tai Chi and Qigong. And some universities across countries like Hong Kong, Japan, Taiwan, even in the US, some of them have departments and faculties studying this um, Qigong and Tai Chi, and they are making publications. And that is why it's easy for them to adapt Tai Chi as part of complementary medicine, and they approve its use in hospitals to enhance recovery alongside physiotherapy and other things to encourage to improve healing in patients. Okay, and companies also are embracing and inviting teachers and practitioners and experts to lead their workforce in Tai Chi sessions, Qigong sessions, so that they can improve productivity. Okay, so it's getting more embraced, more supported, more collaborated, and there are more evidences as to the benefits. So whenever, for example, we have an injury or we are sick, our body's electrical circulation is affected. If this circulation of electricity stops, we die. But bioelectric energy not only maintains life, it is also responsible for repairing physical damage. I made mention of wound healing. Okay, a person like Professor Min Zhao has done a lot of research and has published it, measuring bioelectricity at wound sites, and he saw that low voltage electricity was able to drive wound healing. Okay, and they were able to measure some anti-inflammatory uh, markers that were enhanced or upregulated at such points. They did a lot of 3D, 4D, 5D scaffold researches, growing cells and then causing, mimicking wound in them, and then applying low voltage electricity to drive the healing. They have done it in retina, rat retina, for example. They have done it in skin and some other parts of body cells. Okay, so you may want to check some work published by Professor Min Zhao of UC Davis Medical College in in the US. Yes, I'm thinking just Professor Min Zhao. If you can look up his name, UC Davis. Just post UC Davis. Okay, you will see a lot of work by him in this regard. Many researchers have sought ways of using external electrical and magnetic fields to speed up the body's recovery from physical injury. Richard Leviton reports researchers at Loma Linda University School of Medicine in California. Professor Minzao is also from California, UC Davis, California. Okay, so researchers at Loma Linda University School of Medicine in California have found, following studies in 16 countries with over 1,000 patients, that low frequency, low intensity magnetic energy has been successful in treating chronic pain related to tissue ischemia, and has also worked in clearing up slow healing ulcers. And in 90% of patients tested, raised blood flow significantly. So Mr. Leviton also reports that every cell of the body functions like an electric battery and is able to store electric charge. He reports that other biomagnetic investigators take an even closer look to find out what is happening right down to the level of the blood, the organs, and the individual cell, which they regard as a small electric battery. This has convinced this author, the author of this book, that our entire body is essentially a big battery which is assembled from millions of small batteries. All of these batteries together form the human electromagnetic field, just like what I have said earlier on. So the totality of all this bioelectricity accumulates in the entire or total electromagnetic field of the body. Furthermore, much of the research on the body's electrical field relates to acupuncture. For example, Dr. Becker reports that the conductivity of the skin is much higher at acupuncture cavities, and that is now possible to locate, and that it is now possible to locate them precisely by measuring the skin's conductivity. Many of these reports prove that the acupuncture, which has been done in China for thousands of years, is reasonable and scientific. Some researchers use the theory of the body's electricity to explain many of the ancient so-called miracles which have been attributed to the practice of Qigong. A report by Albert L. Webner states, these demonstrations of body electricity in human beings may also offer a new explanation to an ancient healing practice. If weak external fields can produce powerful physiological effects, it may be that fields from human tissues in one person are capable of producing clinical improvements in another. In short, the method of healing known as the laying on of hands could be an especially subtle form of electrical stimulation. And Reiki practitioners, I think they have keyed into this and they are already using hands laying or hands therapy, laying hands therapy to modulate the or clear energy blockages in another person. So a Reiki practitioner may go ahead and use his own electrical field to guide the electrical field of a client or a patient and then clear key blockages, energy blockages. Like I showed you just now, that you can sense your own electrical field within the space of your palms. It tells you that your palm emits pulses by electricity, the other one emits by electricity. So by breathing into your body parts, by bringing awareness to your eyes, to your head, and then from the palms, you can connect the emission of electricity from this skin surface to the emission of electricity from my palms, and then use that to do a kind of energy massage, okay, and clear key blockages, move it around the parts of my body. I can pay attention to do self-care for 20-30 minutes, okay, charge up my palms, rub it together, charge up the center, the palm center, which are the two gates. We have our other two gates on the sole of the feet, and we have another gate by mine at the center of the head. We covered that in chapter 1. But for the palms, you can try them together, charge them, and then sense the key and use this to cause calmness, to cause relaxation, to do skin massage therapy. Okay? Okay? To balance energies, the crown chakra, okay? The third eye, the throat chakra, the heart chakra, that of the solar plexus, the one below the navel, and then the root chakra. Okay, you can use it to massage the position of our kidney and spleen on the back, to massage our lungs and liver, to massage the pancreas in the abdominal region, to massage the lungs, to massage. And when we have this consciousness, you can go ahead and do tapping massage to tone up the meridians, to tone up and energize the arteries and the veins. Tap our legs, tap our thighs, tap our back, tap the shoulder, and then we can do swiping massage. Okay, swiping massage. Okay, so all these things work for energy balance. Another frequently reported phenomenon is that when a Qigong practitioner has reached a high level of development, a halo would appear behind and or around his head during meditation. Okay? Halos are commonly seen in paintings of Jesus Christ, the Buddha, and various Oriental immortals. Frequently, the light is pictured as surrounding the whole body, and this is what has been referred to as the homeodynamic space. One of the researchers that have talked about this a lot is Professor Suresh Ratan, who was working as a professor at Aarhus University, Denmark. He talks about homeodynamic space, that as a baby, Most of the time, the babies have very wide, vibrant, colorful, strong homeodynamic space. But as we grow old and move, as in on the spectrum of aging, and with the effect of many things from outside external factors, chemicals, food, environmental factors, this homeodynamic space may shrink. Okay, so when we are sick, it is seen to shrink. It's not as wide. It shrinks. It's not as vibrant. It's not as colorful. Okay, but when we are well and whole and healthy, then it is wide and colorful. This is like aura. Okay, so when we link all these things together, we realize that our cells, each of them has its own energy by electricity that it emits, and all the cells put together within a whole organism has a cumulative bioelectricity, electromotive force. So when we practice Qigong, when we practice appropriate breathing, when we practice harmonization, synchronization, body-mind work, we can achieve a high level of development, and then we can strengthen our aura, we can strengthen our homeodynamic space. And Qigong refers to it as the guardian key, okay, that surrounds us as a ball and protect us from infection, protect us from negative and low energy vibrations. All right. So this phenomenon may again be explained by the body electric theory. When a person has cultivated their key, electricity now, to a high level, the key may be led to accumulate in the head. Why? Because when we do the small circulation breathing or the grand big circulation breathing, in the small circulation breathing, for example, we breathe in into our abdomen and we try to roll this breath like a tumble, tumbling forward and probably tumbling backward just within the abdominal cavity. That is a small breathing cycle. But whereas when we want to do the grand big breathing cycle, we breathe in and when we say our envision and visualize it going into our abdomen, and we turn it towards the back and lead it through the thrusting vessel, which is our spine, and up to the brain. So it may explain how it's possible for this key to be led up to the brain so it may accumulate in the head and may show as a glow around the head. So when a person has cultivated their electricity, their key to a high level, that key may be led to accumulate in the head, and this may then interact with the oxygen molecules in the air and ionize them, causing them to glow. And really now this can be measured, and there are people who are clairvoyant who may be able to see this glowing. Some may be just a little bit around, some can be so wide and vibrant and colorful around the head or around the whole body. Although the link between the theory of the body electric and the Chinese theory of Qi is becoming more accepted and better proven, there are still many questions to be answered. For example, how actually does the mind generate an EMF, electromotive force, to circulate the electricity in the body? You know, we have talked about impulses crossing synaptic junctions, impulses, action, resting potential, action potential. When we have a thought and then the impulse travels across and then goes up to the spine, goes to the brain interprets it, and then we know, okay, I want to move my hand in order to pick an object, or I want to start walking away from danger. So these are things that biochemistry, physiology have been trying to explain and elucidate. Thank you, Kayota, for joining. All right, so these examples abound, and the mind generates a thought in form of an impulse, which is an EMF, electromotive force, and the brain is able to circulate it as electricity, charges across the body. striated muscles are able to be triggered and then respond. So we have neurotransmitters, and this is what happens within the body. But now, if we stay within the discourse in this paragraph, is saying that is bioelectricity circulating in the animal body a DC, direct current, or an AC, alternating current? Then, how is the human electromagnetic field affected by the multitude of other electric fields that surround us, such as the radio wiring or electrical appliances? You know that every house has earthing so that we can be protected from thunderstorms and lightning. Okay? Because it has been found that this can interact with our body. And if a house is not well earthed or grounded, it can lead to accident because of the high discharge of current from lightning. It strikes, thunder strike, and people die in unearthed houses or not properly earthed houses. So interaction happens between appliances and us, okay, and sometimes can be like a smudge that affect us, can lead to emotional imbalances or disturbances, can lead to diseases and all sorts. So now another question raised in this book says, in this paragraph, is that how can we readjust our electromagnetic fields and survive in outer space or on other planets where the magnetic field is completely different from the Earth? You see people going to the moon now. Operation going to the Mars is on, and the first woman will be going to the Mars, a 17 or maybe 19-year-old right now. Okay, Alison. But now the question here is, how can we adjust or readjust our electromagnetic fields in order to survive in outer space? Another one, that's another question. So now we can see that the future of Qigong and bioelectric science is a challenging and exciting one. It is about time that we started to use modern technology to understand the inner energy world, which has for the most part been ignored by Western society. Now there are key coils being marketed around in order to enhance balance key or body energy. Okay, so the last part for today that we'll be able to take is to now look at the modern definition of Qigong. We have seen the modern essence or definition of Qi. Alright, so if we now accept that the inner energy key circulating in our bodies is bioelectricity, then we can formulate a definition of Qigong based on electrical principles. So let's see. Let's assume that a circuit, the normal circuit in physics, can be made to be similar or compared to the circuit in our bodies. Let's assume they are same. Although we now have a certain degree of understanding of this circuit from acupuncture, I mean the body circuit from acupuncture, we still don't know in detail exactly what the body circuit looks like. So it suffices to just go with the normal applied physics circuit. So we know that there are 12 primary key channels or key rivers and 8 vessels, key reservoirs in our body. And there are also thousands of small key channels which allow the key to reach the skin and the bone marrow. So in a regular applied physics circuit, the 12 internal organs can be seen or described to be connected and mutually related through these channels. That is relating the circuit of the body to that of normal physics. Finally, also there is a dantian, which is the elixir field, our biobattery, located in the abdomen, lower part of the abdomen, and this produces and stores the key. So now let us look at the electrical circuit in physics. We will see, if you are using our inner mind to visualize and compare, you will see that the key channels are like the wires that carry electric currents. The internal organs are like the electrical components, such as resistors and solenoids. The key vessels are like capacitors, which regulate the current in the circuit. The dantian is like a battery, which stores the charge and provides the EMF in the circuit. Now, how do we keep this electrical circuit functioning most efficiently? Our first concern is the resistance of the wire, which carries the current. In a machine, we want to use a wire which has a high level of conductivity and low resistance. Otherwise, heat may be generated and the wire will melt. Therefore, the wire should be of a material like copper or perhaps even gold. In our body, we want to keep the current flowing smoothly. This means that our first task is to remove anything that interferes with the flow and causes stagnation. Fat has low conductivity, so we should use diet and exercise to remove excess fat from our body. We should also learn how to relax our physical body, because this will open all of the key channels. When we are relaxed, our key channels are open. So when we open our arms and we expand and stretch, our heart is open and key can flow smoothly. This is why relaxation is the first goal of Tai Chi Chuan and many Qigong exercises. Next, our concern is to maintain a healthy electrical circuit. So, this relates to the components of our body. Now, these are our internal organs. If we do not have the correct level of current in our organs, they will either burn out from too much current, which is yang, or malfunction because of a deficient level of current, which is like yin. In order to avoid these problems in a machine, that is why we use a capacitor to regulate the current. Whenever there is too much current, the capacitor absorbs and stores the excess. And whenever the current is weak, the capacitor supplies current to raise the level. Now, the 8 key vessels are our body's capacitors. Qigong is concerned with learning how to increase the level of qi in these vessels so that they will be able to supply current when needed and keep the internal organs functioning smoothly. This is especially important as we get older, when our key level is generally lower. One of the things that happen when we grow older is we lose muscle mass. Okay, so we want to make sure we strengthen our muscle even when the mass is reducing. We do not eat too much protein, because only little of protein, certain protein sources made up of certain necessary amino acids is needed, whereas the rest is like a waste. So we should build our muscle, keep our muscle tone, strengthen them, exercise them to make sure they are strong. So now, as we get older, our key level is generally lower. But we want to make sure we practice Qigong, for example, to keep our key optimal. In addition, in order to have a healthy circuit, we must be concerned with the components themselves. If any of them are not strong and of good quality, then the entire circuit may malfunction. This means that the final concern of a Qigong practitioner is how to maintain or even rebuild the health of our internal organs. Before we go any further, we should point out that there is an important difference between the circuit in physics and the key circuit in our bodies. Don't let us forget. This difference is that the human body is alive, and with the proper key nourishment, all of the cells can be regrown and the state of health improved. For example, if we are able to jog about 3 miles today, and if we keep jogging regularly and gradually, increasing the distance after we have gotten adapted, eventually we'll be able to jog 5 miles. This is because our body rebuilds and readjusts itself to fit the circumstances. And this is one of the things our trainer spoke about on Saturday, and said when we are choosing our exercise, kind of exercise and the regimen, we should pick an exercise that we love. Okay? And then we should not start with a rigorous session. We can start slowly, 5 minutes every day of the week, then probably 15 minutes 2 to 3 times a week. Okay? Then when we see that our body has been introduced and is adjusted to it, we can now increase the frequency and the rigorous, how rigorous we do it. Okay, then she also said something that we should choose a professional to practice with. Okay, then we should make sure that the professional, we are comfortable with him or her. And also we are comfortable with the environment of practice. That is, we must be comfortable when we want to do exercise, especially this time that we do online. You have to make sure you have a comfortable setting. If it is yoga, you have to relax into your yoga mat. If it is standing exercise, okay, you have to make sure the environment is comfortable. If it is inside the house, make sure the windows are not locked up so that you can encourage ventilation and breathe clean and fresh air. So the environment must be good so that the anxiety and stress we want to control, we do not end up adding to it. So if we are comfortable with the person who is a trainer, we are comfortable with the environment where we train, we are comfortable with the clothing, the exercise clothing, which is not too tight, which is free. We are comfortable because we have drank water, we are breathing clean air, we are comfortable with other companions that we are exercising together. Then the level of stress regarding those points is not high. It's not even sometimes there at all. Then, by the time we keep walking and doing our exercise, we can manage stress and alleviate anxiety, which is beneficial to us. Okay, going on or going further, it means that if we are able to increase the key flow through our internal organs, they can become stronger and healthier. Naturally, the increase in ki must be slow and gradual so that the organs can adjust, they have time to adjust to it. In order to increase the ki flow in our body, we need to work with the electromotive force of our body. If we do not know what electromotive force is, let us imagine two containers filled with water and connected by a tube. If both containers have the same level of water, then the water will not flow. However, if one side is higher than the other, then the water will flow from the container to the other. So the container with a higher level of water discharges to the one with lower level of water. In electricity, this potential difference, one is high, one is low, is called electric potential difference or electromotive force. Naturally, the higher the electromotive force is, the stronger the current will flow down its gradient. So we can see from this discussion that the key to effective Qigong practice is, in addition to removing resistance from the key channels, we learn how to increase the EMF of the body. Time is up. Keep breathing, keep exercising. See you again next week, Tuesday. Bye for now.